diver with great craft, quite fabulous. Ready to do the color choice. I'm going to start on the ball, look at the screen.
Yay! Good job. Sing. Paint, paint, paint. Oh, good job. She's doing good job, hi.
Here.
Good.
Here you go.
Rub it good.
Paint it. You want another one? Paint. There you go. Paint it. Good job. Paint it. You gotta paint it. Paint. Good job. Okay. Where do you want that one? Okay.
Paint.
Look, Mommy's gonna put this one over here. Paint. Where are you gonna put that?
Right there, I guess.
Yay! We're gonna put this one right there.
Yay.
Where do you want these other two?
Say paint.
One in purple. Look, purple. Boop. Where do you want this one? Blue?
Sing
Blue?
Paint.
Okay, blue. Yay!
Paint.
Yay! Paint them. You gotta paint them.
Paint.
Paint the eggs.
This is exclusive video of Alicia Owens after the Newcastle Police Department and State Attorney General's office arrested her this morning. In June, police say first responders were called to this home along Electric Street for an unresponsive 18-month-old baby, Iris Jacoby Alfera.
In June 2023, a devastating tragedy unfolded in the quiet town of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. 18-month-old Iris Rita Alfera, a toddler full of life, wonder, and promise, died under circumstances no child should ever endure. What happened to Iris wasn't just the result of a single moment of cruelty. It was a chain of failures, both personal and systemic. Failures that left a little girl unprotected, despite the people who loved her deeply. This story is difficult. It is emotional. But it is important. Because behind the headlines and official statements was a real child, with a real future, and a family who is still left trying to make sense of an unbearable loss. Iris's life was short, but it was full of love, laughter, and the kind of joy that brightens every room. And to truly understand what was lost, we need to go back to the very beginning. Iris Rita Alfera was born on December 2nd, 2021, in Butler, Pennsylvania. From the very first day, she became the heart of her mother's world. Emily Alfera, her mother, was completely devoted to her. Those who knew Iris often described her as pure sunshine, always smiling, with eyes that sparkled with curiosity and light. She was surrounded by love from the start. Emily lived with her parents, Candace and Frank Alfera, and together, they created a warm and nurturing home. Her grandparents instantly fell in love with Iris.
Say hi, wave, hi. Hi, everybody. Wave again. Can you say hi? Hi. Oh, say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Her grandfather later said that this tiny girl completely transformed their lives, bringing happiness and meaning in ways they never imagined.
She changed our lives, made us the happiest two people in the world. I used to tell Emily, oh, I thought I loved you. I said, I'm sorry, but Iris is this much more, and she'd get mad.
Iris spent her earliest months wrapped in affection. She loved playing with the family's pets and exploring her surroundings. By the time she was 6 months old, she was already crawling, eager to discover the world around her. Her mind was quick, and her joy for learning soon became clear to everyone around her. Around her first birthday, Iris became captivated by educational videos, especially those by Miss Rachel. She would sit attentively, trying to mimic what she saw and heard. She began learning basic sign language, astonishing her family with how quickly she picked it up. By 18 months, Iris was walking confidently, saying her first words, and soaking in every bit of the world around her. She was a fast learner, always moving, always curious. She especially loved cartoons like Mona and Bluey, dancing along with the music and laughing as she watched. Emily cherished every moment with her daughter. She loved dressing Iris in matching outfits, swimsuits, dresses, tops, and filled her social media with photos of their sweet bond. On Mother's Day, May 14th, 2023, just weeks before everything changed, Emily posted a photo with her daughter and wrote, "The greatest gift I could have ever dreamed of. Your smiling face. I love you so much, Iris Rita. You make me so proud to be your mom." Although Emily and Bailey Jacoby, Iris's father, were no longer together, they made a strong effort to co-parent peacefully. According to Emily's family, they maintained a friendly relationship and always prioritized Iris's well-being. When Iris turned 13 months old, a custody schedule was put in place. She would stay with Bailey every Wednesday and every other weekend. Bailey lived with his girlfriend, 20-year-old Alicia Owens, who was studying to become a nurse. At first, things appeared to be going smoothly. Emily was flexible with visits. If Bailey wanted to see Iris on days outside the schedule, she always agreed. When Iris was with her father, Emily often asked for photos and videos, and they communicated regularly. But underneath the surface, something far more troubling was growing. According to Iris's grandparents, the close communication between Emily and Bailey began to bother Alicia. Over time, what started as jealousy reportedly grew into something much darker. Alicia became increasingly fixated on their interactions, and eventually that resentment, they believe, turned toward the child herself. What appeared to be a peaceful co-parenting arrangement soon began to unravel. Beneath the surface, a chilling pattern was emerging, one that no one saw in time, or perhaps chose not to. Starting in February 2023, Alicia Owens, the girlfriend of Iris's father, began conducting disturbing online searches. They were not idle curiosities. They revealed a dark and calculated interest in harm. Among the earliest searches were phrases like, "Poisonous household items for babies," "Can sunscreen poison a 1-year-old?" and "What happens if my child eats nail polish?" On March 8th, she looked up, "Symptoms of swallowing a battery," and "What happens if a child swallows a button battery?" Later, her searches turned even more sinister. "How many cases do children die from swallowing water beads?" and "Water beads near me," suggesting she was planning to purchase them. Water beads are small, colorful polymer balls often used in crafts or as toys, but when ingested, they expand dramatically inside the body, posing a deadly risk to young children. In early April, the first serious incident occurred. After Iris returned home from a weekend visit with her father, Emily noticed something alarming while changing her daughter's diaper. Among the contents was a small, clear, jelly-like orb, a water bead. Over the next few days, what she found grew more horrifying. More water beads appeared in Iris's stool, along with a metal screw and 3 small button batteries. In shock, Emily rushed her daughter to UPMC Children's Hospital. There, doctors confirmed the presence of these foreign objects. Over a 4-day period, Iris excreted 20 water beads, a metal screw, and 3 batteries. The implications were terrifying. Water beads can expand up to 1,500 times their original size when exposed to moisture. Inside a toddler's digestive system, they can cause intestinal blockages, severe pain, vomiting, and internal damage. Sometimes, surgery is required to remove them. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, they pose a serious danger when swallowed.
Water beads start out tiny like this, but then they grow dramatically in water. Look how big they get. Now, this can be incredibly dangerous if babies or toddlers accidentally eat them, put them in their ears or their nose. Marketed as safe and non-toxic sensory toys, water beads are all the rage. Just soak them in water and watch them grow into slippery, squishy balls of...
Button batteries are equally deadly. The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia warns that when swallowed, these small batteries can lodge in the throat, creating chemical burns in a matter of hours. They can erode tissue, perforate internal organs, and cause fatal bleeding. Emily, shaking, told the medical staff, "We don't have anything like this in our home. I'm extremely careful. I watch my daughter constantly. There's no way she could have swallowed these things here." Because of the severity of the case and the clear pattern of hazardous objects ingested, the hospital immediately contacted Lawrence County Children and Youth Services, CYS, to report suspected abuse or neglect. On April 5th, just after Iris was discharged from the hospital, Emily filed an emergency petition with the court. She pleaded with Judge David Acker to suspend the father's visitation rights until a full investigation could be completed. Her motion stated plainly, "The father's inability to supervise the child properly is causing harm and placing her in danger." But the court did not act. Instead of suspending visits, Judge Acker ordered both parents to attend co-parenting classes. A hearing was scheduled for May 2nd, but was postponed after reports of an agreement being reached. According to Emily's family, no such agreement truly existed. Emily was told that if she withheld visits, she could be found in contempt of court and risk losing custody altogether. Child Services conducted a brief check of both homes. According to family members, their investigation consisted of filling out a form and visually inspecting the premises. No one could explain how 20 water beads, a screw, and 3 batteries ended up inside a toddler in just one weekend. Yet the case was closed. Meanwhile, Alicia's behavior grew even more chilling. Her internet activity didn't stop. After the April incident, her searches became increasingly targeted and violent. She looked up. What happens if a child drinks acetone? Can nail polish remover poison a toddler? Cosmetics that are toxic to children. And finally, just 5 days before Iris's death, on June 20th, she searched. How does shaken baby syndrome happen? It was a warning sign, one of many. But still, nothing was done. Despite every plea, every red flag, every medical emergency, Iris continued to be sent to her father's home on schedule. No restrictions, no supervision. The system checked boxes. The court followed procedure. And Iris was returned, again and again, to the same environment where someone was clearly preparing to harm her. June 25th, 2023. It was a Sunday. In Newcastle, Pennsylvania, the day began like any other. Iris was with her father, Bailey Jacoby, and his girlfriend, Alicia Owens. In just a few hours, she was supposed to be back home with her mother. Bailey left the house that afternoon to pick up some items for Iris. He was preparing to return her to Emily, but by the time he came back, it was already too late. When Bailey left the house that Sunday, he believed he was making a quick grocery run. Iris was at home with Alicia Owens, his 20-year-old girlfriend who was studying nursing. While he was checking out at the store, his phone rang. Alicia's voice was panicked. "Something's wrong with Iris," she said. "I was in the living room when I heard a noise. I think she fell off the bed. She's not responding." Bailey abandoned his cart and rushed home. The ambulance arrived just moments after he did. Inside the house, paramedics found 18-month-old Iris lying on the floor, barely breathing. Her eyes were vacant, her body limp. Iris was first rushed to Jameson Hospital in Newcastle, but her condition was too severe. She was transferred to UPMC Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, about an hour away. That same day, Bailey called Emily. "Something happened to our daughter," he told her. Emily, devastated, immediately contacted her parents, and together they drove to the hospital. Doctors found that Iris's organs were rapidly shutting down. Her brain was dangerously swollen. There was bleeding in both retinas and internal brain hemorrhaging. Tests also revealed a troubling level of acetone in her blood, a chemical commonly found in household products like nail polish remover. Specialists from the hospital's child protection team told investigators that the injuries were not subtle. A child with this level of trauma could not appear normal. There would have been clear signs: vomiting, weakness, confusion. But Alicia and Bailey claimed she'd only thrown up a few times over the previous 24 hours. For 4 agonizing days, doctors did everything they could. But Iris's condition continued to deteriorate. On June 29, 2023, at 1:52 p.m., Iris Rita Alfera was pronounced dead. Authorities immediately opened a criminal investigation. Both Alicia Owens and Bailey Jacoby were questioned. Their stories didn't add up. Alicia claimed she had been feeding Iris on the bed when her own body cramped and the toddler fell off onto the carpet. She said the child's chest collapsed, and she began CPR before calling Bailey, then 911. But when detectives visited the house, they found the bed was just a thin mattress on a carpeted floor, only 6 inches high. That kind of fall couldn't have caused the traumatic brain injuries and retinal bleeding. Alicia insisted they had always been careful, that cabinets were locked, that Iris had never been left unsupervised. But when detectives examined Alicia's phone, what they uncovered was deeply disturbing. For months leading up to Iris's death, Alicia had searched online for information about poisoning, child injuries, and harmful substances. She had even looked up how to pass a lie detector test and how to cheat one, searches that had been deleted but later recovered. The forensic autopsy confirmed what doctors suspected. Iris died from acute acetone poisoning. The chemical led to multiple organ failure. She also had internal injuries consistent with shaken baby syndrome or blunt force trauma, similar to what might occur in a high-speed car crash. Experts agreed. No reasonable caregiver could have missed the symptoms Iris displayed. Alicia and Bailey's claims that the child seemed fine simply didn't align with the medical evidence. In the weeks that followed, the community of Newcastle came together in grief and outrage. A group called Iris's Angels organized awareness events and fundraisers. They placed a billboard near Mill Street that read, "Justice for Little Iris." Purple ribbons were handed out across town as a symbol of remembrance and advocacy against child abuse.
And tonight, the Newcastle community is rallying behind a little girl who lost her life in June. Family says 18-month-old Iris Alfera had a brain bleed and was unresponsive when she was taken to the hospital. They say she was on a court-ordered visitation at the time. And as that investigation continues into the cause of her death, a group known as Iris's Angels has been fighting for justice. Today, they held a billboard reveal reading, "Justice for baby girl Iris." It's near the Dunkin' Donuts on Mill Street. Organizers handed out free donuts and child abuse awareness ribbons.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Iris. Dottie, move in. Happy birthday to you. Go ahead. Release them.
Ready? Send them to heaven. Look out. Send the balloons to heaven, everyone. We love you, Iris.
Happy birthday, sweet baby. We love you.
But the investigation moved slowly. On November 15, 2023, Iris's family posted a public message. The monsters continue to hide behind their cameras, more comfortable than ever. By December 13th, they wrote, 170 days without hearing her laughter. It's unbearable. Finally, on January 10, 2024, 196 days after Iris's death, Alicia Owens was arrested. She was charged with 9 felony counts, 3 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of aggravated assault of a child, and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. If convicted, she faces life in prison without parole. Bail was denied. A preliminary hearing was set for January 24th, but the full trial was later postponed due to changes in her legal defense team. As of now, a new trial date has not been scheduled. Witnesses reported that throughout her court appearances, Owens remained emotionless, showing no signs of remorse for the child she was trusted to protect.
This is exclusive video of Alicia Owens after the Newcastle Police Department and State Attorney General's office arrested her this morning. In June, police say first responders were called to this home along Electric Street for an unresponsive 18-month-old baby, Iris Jacoby Alfera. According to the criminal complaint, Owens was alone with the baby as Iris's dad went to the store. Owens claimed the baby fell off the bed, but doctors suspected her injuries were the result of child abuse. Iris was flown to Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, where she died a few days later. Since then, her family and the community has been pushing for answers and justice.
It angered us. A lot of people in the community were angry. They wanted immediate justice. Our job is to get it right.
The Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office discovered Iris died from acetone poisoning. Before she died, investigators say Owens researched online information on household products that could seriously harm or kill a child, including water beads, batteries, and nail polish. Months before Iris's death, police say the baby was hospitalized after swallowing several water beads, batteries, and a metal screw.
We believe the water beads and batteries were one of her attempts at harming the child.
Owens' searches included beauty products that are poisonous to kids and medications leading to cause accidental poisoning deaths in children. Neighbors were shocked.
That's a shame what she did. It doesn't make any sense what she did.
I'm Jillian Hartman reporting in Newcastle, Pennsylvania.
Iris's family has since launched several initiatives in her memory. The Iris's Angels Fund raised more than $17,000. They've announced plans for a scholarship in Iris's name, a 5K awareness run, and Iris's Closets, a program that provides school supplies and essentials to children in need. Frank Alfera, Iris's grandfather, said bluntly, "CYS dropped the ball. They should have acted after April." On December 30th, 2023, the family made a public appeal to lawmakers and child protection officials. Remember her name for the rest of your career. Say it every day. Remember why she isn't here anymore. Emily, Iris's mother, has since become a vocal advocate for child protection reform. "I want people to know her face," she says. "This is not just a statistic. She was my daughter."
Tonight, only on KDKA, we are hearing from the grandparents of 1-year-old Iris Alfera.
The little girl died of acetone poisoning. Last week, police arrested her father's girlfriend.
Shelley Boards talked to the grandparents who tell her they don't only want justice for baby Iris, they want the laws changed so no other family has to go through this pain.
It's all we're doing is putting one foot in front of the other.
It's just horrible. This is something that shouldn't happen to anybody. That beautiful baby.
Candace and Frank Alfera hold back tears as they remember the day their daughter Emily called them to say their 18-month-old granddaughter Iris, who lived with them, was unresponsive while in her father's care.
She changed our lives, made us the happiest 2 people in the world. I used to tell Emily, "Oh, I thought I loved you." I said, "I'm sorry, but Iris is this much more," and she'd get mad.
Baby Iris died in the hospital 4 days later on June 29th from acetone poisoning. Then a break in the case. Last week, police charged 20-year-old Alicia Owens, the baby's father's live-in girlfriend, with her death after incriminating web searches for acetone, among other harmful substances for children, were found on her cell phone.
It's bad enough to do something like that, but to research it, but to do it to a baby, I don't understand. I couldn't do that to an animal.
Because Emily and Bailey still had a good co-parenting relationship.
Several months prior to baby Iris's death, she was rushed to the hospital for ingesting water beads, batteries, and a screw. When police told the Alferas they believed that was Owen's first attempt at killing Iris, they immediately contacted Children and Youth Services. But CYF allowed visitations with Iris's father to continue at his home with Owens present.
We had to go to court, Child Youth Services. They investigated, and they said that it was okay, that he could go back to his regular visitation. As far as I'm concerned, Child Youth Services dropped the ball.
Now that an arrest has been made, the Alferas say they're going to let the justice system take over, while they focus their attention on keeping baby Iris's memory alive, while making certain this doesn't ever happen again.
We want to change the law to prevent this from happening. At least change it to the point where they have to have supervised visitation if something is wrong.
Emily promised. Emily's making it her life goal to make sure the laws are changed and that Iris's memory's on forever.
Iris's story exposes heartbreaking flaws in the child protection system. Missed warning signs, shallow investigations, and decisions that prioritized procedure over protection. If a toddler swallows 20 water beads, a metal screw, and 3-button batteries. If someone in the home has searched how to poison a child. If a judge ignores medical evidence and a mother's desperate pleas, then the system is not broken. It is refusing to work. Iris Rita Alfera's story is not one we can look away from. She deserved to be safe. She deserved to grow up. Her life demands accountability. And through her memory, perhaps change is still possible.
That's gross.
Okay, you're on. Start talking. That's great.
Natalie was just 3 years old, bright, full of energy, and always smiling. She was too young to understand the danger around her, too small to protect herself. All she wanted was to play, to feel safe, to be loved. But instead, she was caught in a situation no child should ever have to endure. On Sunday, March 22, 2009, Nicole Lee had a busy day ahead. She had errands to run, things to take care of, but something didn't feel right. A strange unease settled in her chest, a feeling she couldn't quite shake. she thought back to how different life had been just a few years ago. She had met Troy Miller in 2000, and in the summer of 2005, they welcomed their daughter, Natalie Lee Miller, a beautiful, blue-eyed little girl who was always cheerful and easygoing. Those were the good times. But life had a way of shifting. Nicole and Troy separated before Natalie even turned 2. It felt surreal, standing together at her birthday party, holding the cake as if nothing had changed, as if they were still a family. But they weren't. Their love had faded, and all that remained was the shared responsibility of raising their daughter. Over time, Nicole moved on. She dated, but nothing lasted. Then, in the fall of 2008, she met Ryan Jones. He was charming, attentive, the man who made her believe in love again. At first, everything seemed perfect, but lately things had started to unravel. Ryan's temper flared too often. His patience wore thin. There were moments when he would lash out, always followed by excuses. "I didn't mean to," he'd say. "It was an accident." And yet, there were too many of those accidents. Too many times when Natalie ended up hurt. Nicole's friends had noticed. They voiced their concerns, gently questioning if she was making the right choices. But Nicole wasn't a bad mother. At least that's what she told herself. Natalie was just clumsy, always running around, never sitting still. That's what she needed to believe. Then came the phone call. "Miss Lee, this is Detective Jared Hughes. Please come to Coahuila Health Medical Center. I'm sorry, but your daughter Natalie has passed away." It's truly heartwarming to see our community of compassionate people grow every day. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing how far our voices reach. And if you'd like to help support the channel and continue spreading awareness about important issues, consider subscribing. Thank you for being a part of our channel. Now, let's get back to Natalie's story. Natalie was a bright, joyful child whose laughter could light up even the darkest days. She had a way of making people around her feel warm and loved. From the moment she was born, she brought incredible happiness to her parents. Her older half-brother Curtis adored her. To him, she wasn't just a little sister. She was his best friend, his favorite playmate. The two of them were inseparable. She loved being outside, whether she was swinging at the park, going for walks, or simply running around, soaking in the world around her. Every small moment was an adventure to her. From the time she could walk, she had a special bond with animals. She learned to take her first steps by holding onto the family dog's back, and she carried that love for animals with her as she grew. Visiting the zoo was one of her favorite things. She loved pony rides and petting the animals, her eyes lighting up with excitement. One of the most precious things she owned was a plush bunny her father had given her. She never went anywhere without it. It wasn't just a toy. It was a symbol of his love, something that made her feel safe and comforted no matter where she was. Like many kids, she had favorite things. Her favorite food was pizza, something she could happily eat every day. Her favorite color was pink, the color of joy, warmth, and all the things she loved. Natalie had a creative, imaginative spirit. She loved dressing up in pretty dresses, pretending she was a princess in a fairy tale world where kindness always triumphed. She also loved to sing. Her little voice, full of warmth and innocence, would fill the room whenever she sang for her family. They often dreamed she'd grow up to be a singer one day. Most of all, she loved spending time with her dad. Some of their best memories together were trips to the water park, where they'd spend hours laughing, playing, and enjoying the rides. He gave her everything he could, making the most of every moment they had together. Looking back, it was almost as if he knew things would soon change. Unfortunately, just before Natalie's second birthday, her parents separated. Despite the change, they still came together for a family celebration on her birthday. Little Natalie, still so young, couldn't yet grasp the huge shift that was about to turn her world upside down. After the split, Nicole and Natalie moved in with a friend, Jessica Rosales. Troy made sure to spend time with his daughter, seeing her every other weekend and on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Eventually, Troy rented a house of his own in Chile. In the fall of 2008, Natalie started mentioning a new man in her mother's life. Someone she called Riri. It didn't take long for Troy to learn that Nicole was seeing Ryan Jones. At first, Natalie didn't express any strong feelings about him. But things began to change. By October 2008, Troy noticed something troubling. Bruises and injuries on Natalie. She complained of pain, and when she showed her father how she was hurt, she said that Ryan had been fighting with her. Seeing his little girl in pain, Troy was furious. When he touched the bruise, Natalie flinched in obvious agony. The bruises were brown and seemed to be a few days old. Troy immediately called Nicole, voicing his concerns. Nicole dismissed him, insisting that Natalie and Ryan were simply playing. But Troy, not satisfied with this explanation, told her that if Ryan couldn't control his strength while playing with a child, then they needed to stop. Nicole's response was cold, telling him to stay out of her life. As time went on, Troy noticed more troubling signs. Natalie had small red bumps and bruises on her buttocks, which didn't make sense to him since she'd been potty trained since she was 2. When he gently asked her about it, she became upset and refused to talk. Nicole claimed that Natalie had soiled herself, but Troy wasn't convinced. Later, in October, Troy noticed knuckle marks on Natalie's chest. She told him that Ryan had fought her, again mimicking the actions of a fight with her little hands. Then, Natalie told him something that chilled him to the bone. She said Ryan had thrown her into the safety sink. She acted out the throwing motion, showing him how it happened. When Troy confronted Nicole about the incident, she dismissed it, saying that Natalie had simply spun around and fell into the box by accident. In December 2008, Troy saw a red mark on Natalie's right shoulder blade. She told him she had fallen off her bike while with Ryan, but Troy was beginning to notice a pattern, and the explanations didn't add up. Unfortunately, despite his growing concerns, Troy never reached out to the police or Child Protective Services. For a brief period in February 2009, Natalie seemed happier. She stopped mentioning Ryan, and Troy thought maybe things were improving. During this time, Nicole and Ryan had split up, but Troy didn't know that Ryan had actually moved in with them again when they moved into a new apartment in March 2009. On March 18, 2009, Nicole called Troy and told him she would bring Natalie over for the day. After spending time with her father, Natalie said something that broke Troy's heart. She wanted to live with him and didn't want to stay with Nicole anymore. Later that evening, Nicole sent Troy a text asking if Natalie could stay the night with him. Troy, of course, said yes. Natalie was overjoyed. That evening, Troy helped her take a bath, and he noticed there were no new injuries. The next morning, on March 19th, Natalie begged her father to let her stay with him. When Nicole arrived to pick her up, Natalie ran and hid, not wanting to leave. After a few moments, Troy gently picked her up and placed her in Nicole's car. As he kissed her goodbye, Natalie refused to look at him, crying the entire time. Tragically, that would be the last time Troy would see his daughter alive. On Sunday evening, March 22, 2009, at 5:41 p.m., 911 received a distress call. Detective Jared Hughes from the Visalia Police Department arrived at the scene just 2 minutes later, where he saw a man, Ryan, rushing into the street, holding a limp child in his arms. Sergeant Randy Lenzner arrived around the same time. Detective Hughes instructed that the child be placed on the grass so he could assess the situation. Natalie's skin was cold to the touch, and her color was ghostly white. There was no pulse, and she appeared lifeless. Detective Hughes immediately checked her airway, tilting her head back to clear her throat. Sergeant Lenzner applied a breathing mask and managed to give her a breath, watching as Natalie's chest rose slightly. They felt for a weak pulse, but found none, so they refrained from chest compressions. Within minutes, paramedics arrived and took over the efforts to save her life. Detective Hughes spoke briefly with Ryan and began inspecting the apartment. He and Ryan followed the ambulance to the hospital. As they drove, Hughes noted that most of Natalie's clothing had been removed. Bruises marked her chest, forehead, the back of her ears, right shoulder, her back, wrists, knees, inner thighs, and even her left nostril. The detective knew instantly that this wasn't an accident. Yet, at that moment, the priority was trying to save Natalie's life. Despite the paramedics' desperate efforts, at 6:13 p.m., Natalie was pronounced dead. Dr. Sane, who attended to her, confirmed that the extent of her injuries was too severe for the paramedics to have any chance of saving her. She explained that the bruising couldn't have been caused by any accidental trauma. Natalie's body was sent for a full examination. Detective Hughes called Nicole Lee with the tragic news, as Ryan had not made the call himself. When Hughes inquired about what had happened to Natalie, Ryan simply said she had been eating pizza in her room and showed no interest in elaborating. Hughes didn't push further, knowing that Ryan would be questioned at the station soon. Nicole, too, could barely find the courage to call Troy. Instead, it was her mother who called him, delivering the heart-wrenching news that his daughter had passed away at the hospital after eating a piece of pizza. In disbelief, Troy rushed to the hospital where Detective Hughes showed him Natalie's lifeless body. The grief was overwhelming. Troy was inconsolable, sobbing uncontrollably. He repeatedly said, "She's been killed." The detective noted how different the reactions were from everyone else. Ryan seemed distant, and Nicole was terrified, but it was Troy, the father, whose grief was raw and genuine. The following 2 days were filled with investigations. The apartment was thoroughly searched, witnesses were interviewed, and the results of the autopsy were reviewed. On March 25, 2009, after being questioned by the police, Ryan Jones was arrested. Natalie Miller was laid to rest on March 27th, following a service at Salzer and Dillard Funeral Chapel in Visalia. The Miller family was consumed by grief, as was the community, who came together to pay their respects and offer support during such a heartbreaking time. When the trial of Ryan Jones began, one of the key witnesses was Jessica Rosales, a close friend of Nicole and Natalie. Jessica had known Natalie since birth and had been like a second mother to her. She first met Nicole and Troy in 2001, and she began noticing signs of abuse after Nicole started dating Ryan. In 2008, she observed bruises and cuts on Natalie, including a bruised cheek. Initially, Natalie said she was with Ryan when she got hurt, but later admitted she couldn't remember how it happened. In December 2008, Jessica saw that Natalie's lip was swollen, but Natalie refused to explain what had happened, saying that her mother would be angry. By February 2009, Jessica noticed that Natalie's ears were red and crusty. Natalie told Jessica that she and Ryan had been playing roughly, but Nicole later confided in Jessica that Ryan had burned Natalie's ears with a blow-dryer. Worried about Natalie's well-being, Jessica took her to a clinic, where medical staff identified the ear injuries as fresh wounds and also noted a wound on her shoulder. Natalie appeared frightened and couldn't explain how the injuries had occurred. Jessica witnessed several instances where Nicole would force Natalie to go to Ryan's house, even though Natalie would cry and call him a monster. In March, Nicole and Natalie moved into an apartment with Ryan. On March 7th, Ryan brought Natalie to Jessica's house with a large bruise on her head, claiming she had fallen from her crib. Natalie seemed lethargic, but Nicole discouraged Jessica from taking her to the hospital. Jessica was increasingly concerned about Natalie's safety and offered to care for her until the family moved to Texas. On March 20th, Jessica took Natalie to a friend's house, but Nicole insisted on picking her up. Jessica argued with Ryan about the bruises, but Nicole defended him, saying that Natalie was her daughter. Then, on March 23rd, Jessica learned that Natalie had passed away. When she called Nicole to ask what had happened, Nicole admitted that she hadn't informed Jessica earlier because she feared Jessica would blame Ryan. The police were able to obtain CCTV footage from the McDonald's in Schiller, and several witnesses who were there that day provided statements. They described a pattern of abuse. Ryan yelling at Natalie while she appeared frightened, and Nicole sitting silently, not intervening. Investigators later obtained recordings of phone conversations between Ryan and Nicole while he was in jail. These recordings were played in court for the jury, and a transcript was provided. In their first conversation, Nicole spoke about Natalie's funeral, a service Ryan could not attend due to his arrest. Nicole shared her sorrow for him and reassured him that everyone was supporting him. Throughout their talks, Nicole repeatedly told Ryan she loved him, expressing her sympathy for the hardships he was facing. In their second conversation, she again declared her love. By the third, they discussed Nicole's upcoming visit to Ryan in jail, with Nicole affirming, "I'm with you 100%. I love you." During the trial, Nicole insisted that Ryan was not responsible for Natalie's death, maintaining that Ryan loved Natalie and that she, too, loved him. She recalled instances when Natalie would fall asleep on Ryan's lap, indicating a bond between them. The autopsy, however, revealed the truth. Natalie had suffered from sustained physical abuse, with the cause of death being severe blunt force trauma to her head and abdomen. Expert testimonies confirmed that the injuries could not have been accidental, but were the result of violent actions. The abuse was consistent and intentional. It became clear that Nicole, though aware of the abuse, did little to stop it. She seemed more concerned with hiding it than protecting her daughter. 5 months after Natalie's death, Nicole was arrested and charged with felony child endangerment, resulting in her daughter's death. The trial was lengthy, but in May 2014, Nicole Lee was sentenced to 8 years in prison for child endangerment that led to Natalie's murder. She was handcuffed and taken into custody to serve her sentence. Ryan Jones's trial concluded in December 2013, where he was convicted of second-degree murder for the fatal beating of Natalie. The judge sentenced him to 25 years to life in prison for child abuse resulting in death. Troy Miller, Natalie's father, attended both trials. The loss of his daughter and the haunting question of whether he could have done more to save her weighed heavily on his heart. Since then, Troy has become a prominent advocate for child abuse awareness. Our deepest condolences to the family of Natalie. May her soul rest in peace.